So Caroma is an Amazon brand that's been around since 2008, and they make electric scooters and, well, things like this. It's kind of a hybrid between a scooter and an e-bike. This is called the Caroma Peak. Now, they have a few different versions of this on Amazon, and I'll put links below for each of the versions. This particular one is the one with the adjustable seat and no suspension. Okay, they do have an option where you can get a built-in seat, which is much shorter, so it's fixed. And you do get front and rear suspension. It only costs you $10 more, so I'd probably say if you're not a really tall person, go ahead and get that because it'll be a softer ride. Now, overall, looking at the scooter here, it's not a bad looking scooter. You got the battery right underneath here. It's a 48-volt battery. In order to turn on the scooter, you do have to turn this key, which is kind of a cool security feature that if you go somewhere, you can turn it off and you can pull the key out and nobody can steal it. Technically. Now you're gonna get a top speed of 20 miles an hour, a range of 25 miles, which we're gonna put that to the test in our range test when we go on the ride. The rear wheel motor is 500 watts, 819 watts peak power to get you going up those hills and overpasses and things like that. You got front and rear disc brakes, which are my least favorite thing about this scooter, and I'll show you when we go on a ride why. Now you do have the foldable stem here to make things a little bit more compact so you can fit it in your vehicle. You have height adjustment levers here to bring the height up and down of your handlebars, and you have another latch up here where you're able to actually pivot your handlebars really easily. I can just undo that and I can turn my handlebars and lock it back down. Of course, you got a front headlight and a rear tail light, so if you do want to ride at night, you'll be somewhat visible. There's also reflectors on the front forks to make you a little bit more visible. And of course, you got this little storage basket in the back. Your deck is nice and wide at 9.5 inches, so you can put your feet side by side if you want to when you're riding. And you got a nice sturdy kickstand over here to keep things up when you're not riding it, of course. So that's a basic overview of the Caroma Peak. Let's go ahead and take this baby out on the road and see how it performs. All right, let's go ahead and start off with an acceleration test. We're gonna see how quick we can get up to the top speed of 20 miles an hour. Now this has that 500 watt motor, 819 peak power, so let's go ahead and check it out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 seconds to get to the top speed of 20 miles an hour. So it's not going to win any acceleration records, but it's not the slowest thing that I've tested. All right, so let me go ahead and show you how bad these brakes are. Now they work, don't get me wrong. I mean, I can hit the brakes and I can stop. But when you're hitting them slow, like you will when you're slowing down, check out how jerky it is. I mean, I'm not quite sure what's going on. The rotors don't look like that they're bent. The wheels don't look like they're bent. But for some reason, when I slow down, it just jerks you forward and back and forward and back, and of course makes those squeaking noises as well. So I think it might be, let's test them independently here. There's my front. That's pretty jerky. Here's my rear. Oh, that's really jerky. So it's definitely the rear more than the front, but the brake's definitely a con here on the Caroma Peak. So one of the things that I do like about this type of hybrid scooter e-bike thing is the tire size. It kind of rides like an e-bike and not like a scooter, but it's got that scooter deck at the same time, which, as you can see, 9.5 inches wide. I can fit both of my feet right next to each other. I usually ride kind of like I ride on a scooter, where I have 1 foot forward and 1 foot back. That's just kind of how I ride. But you do have enough room to put both feet side by side. Now the ride quality on the Caroma Peak isn't really that bad. Now I know it doesn't have suspension, but those bigger tires, the pneumatic tires, they actually help quite a bit. Now when I first got the scooter e-bike hybrid thing, I actually had to deflate the tires and reset them because they were not really set correctly and it was creating a bumpy ride. So if you do get your model and it does give you a bumpy ride, just deflate the tires, reset them and inflate them again, and that bump goes away. Now even though the Caroma Peak doesn't have suspension, the larger wheels and the pneumatic tires do cushion some of the bumps. Now if you watch my Unagi Voyager video that I just put out, that had solid tires on it, and I was going over the same set of brick pavers here and it made my voice just go blah, 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 and like sound like I was vibrating. So let's do this here. See? Well, the other models have suspension. I still would go and pay the extra $10 and get the suspension, but I'm not sure if you're a tall person if it's a well enough trade-off to be sitting all low on that built-in seat. So that's a choice that you're gonna have to make depending on how tall you are. I'm 5'11", almost 6 foot, and I would definitely need the adjustable seat. Now this doesn't have a thumb throttle or a finger throttle. This actually has a throttle right here on the grip, kind of like a motorcycle, but it's one of those half grip ones. So that's something that is kind of weird to get used to in the beginning, because you have to turn your hand and then you have to kind of re-grip it in order to ride consistently. And then you have to, in order to slow down, you got to let go of like 2 fingers. And then when you want to start again, you got to kind of get a new grip. And so I don't know, I'm not sure how I feel about that. I think I'd rather just have a full grip throttle so that I can move my entire hand instead of having to move just, a couple fingers in order to control it. But I did get used to it after a little while. See how this thing does through grass and up the hill here. Well, it got up. It's a pretty steep hill. And one thing that I don't really notice is any squeaks or any kind of noises coming, any clickety clanks, as I say, coming from anything when I go over bumps or when I'm just riding. So that's nice. That means that things are, nice and well put together, fit right, and are nice and tight. I didn't have to really adjust anything on here when I got it. I just pretty much charged it and went out on the road. So not bad for $300, I'm not gonna complain at all. I'm about almost 5 miles in, and looks like under throttle, I'm just under 50. Letting go, I'm at about 60-70%. They do say up to 25 miles on a single charge, but I'm not riding in speed mode 1, and I do not weigh 150 pounds. So depending on your speed and also depending on your weight, that will determine your range. Pretty cool ride here on the golf course at PGA National. Whoa! Got to make sure I don't hit the camera on anything. But the peak is very maneuverable, as you just saw. Maneuvering is really easy getting through there. Starting to feel a little of that acceleration wind down as I whittle the battery down. So it's not as punchy as it was in the very beginning. Some scooters are able to keep you nice and punchy almost to the end, and others aren't. And this one still has acceleration, but it's definitely not as punchy as it was when I first started with the acceleration test. All right, now let's do a speed test after 7.5 miles and see. I'm about half battery left here. Let's go ahead and see how long it takes us. Remember, 13 seconds to do it the original time. Ready? Go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, it's not even getting to 18. It's about 18 miles an hour. There goes 19. So that would have been about 17, 18 seconds. So 5 seconds slower on the acceleration. Of course, these are very scientific tests that we're doing here. We're guesstimating. But definitely an acceleration drop off and a top speed drop off. All right, let's see how this thing does on some dirt and gravel trails here. I don't have much battery, but let's have some fun. See if it can still go across grass. Oh yeah. No problem. We're hitting a top speed of 6 going across this grass. All right. Not bad at all for about 30% battery. Still able to get to 18.5 miles an hour. All right, let's see if we can run off a little bit more battery here. I'm at about 9 miles. Got about 2 bars left under throttle, 3 bars left not under throttle, so it's pretty much in line with what I've seen before, about 10 to 12 miles of range with my body weight of around 200 pounds. So if you're less than that, you're gonna get better range. If you're more than that, then you're probably gonna get worse range. All right, well, that's the ride, and today it's saying that we went 11.8 miles. So like I said, 10 to 12 miles is what I'm getting pretty much consistently in speed mode 3, riding just like we did today. Had a few hills, few inclines, went up in the grass a few times, things like that. That's the ride. So let's go ahead and let me give you my final thoughts here on the Caroma Peak. Overall, I think it's a really nice ride, especially for the price point. Just 300 bucks on Amazon and you are in the sport. So if you're somebody looking to get an e-bike or a scooter, you don't quite have $1,000 or you're not quite sure which one you want to get into, well, here you go. It's a hybrid between both of them. You can get a taste of it, you can see what it's all about, and then decide which direction you want to go and how much you want to spend. But for 300 bucks, 2 thumbs up for sure. Now, of course, there's a couple things that I don't like. I don't like the brakes, as you saw. They're super jerky and loud. And the range was a little disappointing, even though it was expected. I always say take the range and cut it in half, and that's what you're going to get in real world. And that was basically it. 25 miles stated, 10 to 12 miles is what I'm getting in my testing. Overall, it's a great ride. It's just the brakes that are not really that good. But if you want to go ahead and purchase one of these, I'm going to put links for all the different configurations, the ones with the suspension and with the fixed seat and the adjustable seat down below. Choose the one that's best for you. If you have any questions or comments about the Caroma Peak, leave them below. I'll be happy to answer them for you. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Next time I put out a video, hit that bell so you will be notified. And for the Caroma Peak and Hobart's reviews, my name is Hobart. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Happy riding.